The playground went silent when the black SUVs pulled up. Isabella's breath caught as 4-year-old Luca tugged her sleeve, pointing at the man stepping out. Dark suit, cold eyes scanning the fence line. Then he saw them, all 4 of them, huddled by the swings. His face went white. Marco, Luca, Sofia, and Gianna. 4 perfect copies of the most dangerous man in New York. And he had no idea they existed. "Mama," Luca whispered, "why is that man crying?" This is a story that will break your heart and put it back together. If you want to know how a single moment changed everything, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view matters, and this story needs to be heard. The January wind cut through Isabella's threadbare coat as she pushed the rusty playground gate. 4 pairs of identical dark eyes looked up at her. Marco, Luca, Sofia, and Gianna, her whole world packed into 4 tiny bodies that never stopped moving, never stopped needing. 10 more minutes, she promised, checking her phone. She had exactly 43 minutes before her shift at Romano's restaurant started. Just enough time to get them to her neighbor's apartment, take 2 buses across town, and clock in without another lecture from her manager. 4 years. 4 years since that night. 4 years since she'd run from the hospital with 4 newborns and a terror so deep it had carved itself into her bones. Because the man she'd fallen in love with, the man whose children she'd carried, wasn't who she thought he was. Dante Valentino. The name alone made people cross themselves. "Mama, swing," Gianna demanded, her little fists wrapped around the chains. She had his dimple when she smiled. They all did. Isabella's hands shook as she pushed the swing. She'd gotten too comfortable. 6 months in this neighborhood, and she'd started to believe they were safe. That he'd never find them. The black SUVs appeared like a nightmare given form. 3 of them, sliding to the curb with the smooth precision of predators. Isabella's blood turned to ice. "Marco, Luca, come here. Now." Her voice cracked with barely controlled panic. But Marco, her brave, stubborn firstborn, was staring at the man emerging from the center vehicle. "Mama, he looks like me." "No. God, no." Dante Valentino stepped onto the sidewalk, and the world bent around him. 6'3" of controlled violence wrapped in a $10,000 suit. The scar through his left eyebrow, the one she used to trace with her fingertips, caught the weak sunlight. Behind him, 4 bodyguards fanned out, hands inside their jackets. But Dante wasn't moving. He stood frozen, staring at the playground with an expression she'd never seen on his face before. Horror. Wonder. Devastation. His eyes moved from Marco to Luca to Sofia to Gianna. 4 little faces that mirrored his own. 4 children swinging and laughing, completely unaware that their entire existence had just shattered someone's reality. Bella. The word came out broken. Destroyed. She hadn't heard that voice in 4 years, but her body remembered. Every cell remembered the way he'd whispered her name in the dark, the way his hands had held her like she was something precious instead of just another hotel maid changing his sheets. Don't. Her voice barely worked. She moved in front of her children instinctively, even though she knew, had always known, that nothing could stop Dante Valentino when he wanted something. How? He took a step forward, and his lead bodyguard, Marco's namesake, moved with him. How old are they? That's none of your business. Bella, look at them. Look at their faces. His voice cracked. They're mine. They're mine, she corrected, fierce despite the trembling in her limbs. I've raised them alone for 4 years. You don't get to. 4 years. The words came out like a gunshot. You've been hiding my children for 4 years? Gianna started to cry. The sound seemed to jolt something in Dante. He took another step, hands rising in a gesture that might have been surrender on anyone else. On him, it just looked dangerous. I'm not going to hurt them. Or you. His eyes, God, those black eyes that all 4 children had inherited, locked onto hers. "But you're going to tell me everything, and then you're going to let me make this right." "There's nothing to make right. We don't need—" "You're wearing the same coat you wore 4 years ago," he cut her off softly. "Deadly soft. And it has 3 new patches. Your children are wearing hand-me-downs in January. Don't tell me you don't need anything." The accuracy of his observation made her want to scream. Or cry. Or both. "We're fine." "Mama," Mako said quietly, tugging her hand. "I'm cold." Something fractured across Dante's face. He shrugged out of his overcoat without breaking eye contact and held it out. When she didn't take it, he crouched down, slowly, carefully, and draped it over Marco's shoulders. The coat swallowed the little boy completely. "What's your name?" Dante's voice had gone soft, gentle in a way she remembered from late nights and whispered promises. "Marco," her son answered, peeking up from inside the expensive wool. "Marco Antonio." Dante's breath caught audibly. That's my father's name." "I know." The admission slipped out before Isabella could stop it. His head snapped up. Their eyes met, and she saw it, the moment he understood. She hadn't just run. She'd run knowing she was pregnant. She'd named their son after his dead father. She'd thought about him every single day for 4 years while deliberately keeping him away from his own children. Why? The single word held more pain than she'd thought him capable of feeling. "Because," she whispered, aware of 8 little ears listening, "you scare me. Your world scares me. And I won't let my children grow up surrounded by what I am." He finished for her, standing slowly. The movement was predatory. Controlled. "You're right to be scared. But Bella—" He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, that familiar cedar and smoke that used to cling to her skin. "Being scared doesn't matter anymore. Because they're already in my world. They have my blood, my face, my name." His voice dropped to something that made her knees weak. "And now that I know they exist, there is no force on earth that will keep me from them." One of the bodyguards cleared his throat. "Boss, we have the Castellano meeting in 40 minutes. Dante didn't look away from Isabella. "Cancel it." "But—" "Cancel everything. For the next week. For the next month. I don't care." Finally, he broke eye contact to look at all 4 children, his children, bundled together in the cold. "My priorities just changed." Isabella's hands wouldn't stop shaking as she unlocked the door to her apartment. Behind her, Dante took in everything: the peeling paint, the radiator that only worked on Tuesdays, the threadbare carpet that had been old when she moved in. The children had been eerily quiet during the car ride. All 4 of them crammed into her lap in the back of Dante's SUV because she'd refused to let them sit separately. They stared at this stranger who looked like them, who smelled like expensive things and danger. "This is where you live." It wasn't a question. Dante's voice had gone flat, empty in a way that was somehow worse than anger. "Yes." Isabella lifted her chin. "It's clean. It's safe. It's what I can afford. There's black mold in that corner." He pointed to the ceiling near the window. "The locks on your door are a joke. And unless I'm mistaken, that's a bullet hole poorly patched in the wall. Welcome to the Bronx." "You've been living here with my children." "My children," she corrected sharply. "They're my children. You didn't even know they existed until an hour ago." Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "Whose fault is that?" The air between them crackled. Marco, always the brave one, stepped between them. "Don't yell at Mama." Dante looked down at his son, their son, and something in his expression crumbled. He crouched again, bringing himself to Marco's eye level. You're right. I apologize. He glanced at Isabella, and she saw it clearly now. This was killing him. I would never hurt your mother. I promise you that. Do you keep your promises? Luca asked, peeking out from behind Isabella's legs. Always. Dante's voice was iron. Absolute. When I give my word, I keep it. No matter what. Sofia, the boldest of her daughters, walked right up to Dante and poked his arm. Are you made of rocks? You feel like rocks. A sound escaped Dante that might have been a laugh. Just muscle, principessa. What's principessa? It means princess. In Italian. 4 pairs of eyes went wide. You speak Italian? Marco breathed. I do. Do you want to learn? Yes. The word came in stereo from all 4 mouths. Isabella's heart twisted. This was how it started. This was how he'd pull them into his world with promises and expensive gifts and the attention she could never fully give them because she was too busy working 3 jobs to keep them fed. We should talk, Dante said quietly, standing. Alone. She looked at the children, then at the man who could take everything from her with a single phone call to the right judge. Luca, take your brother and sisters to the bedroom. Close the door. But Mama. Now, baby. Please. They filed out reluctantly, for little bodies that were her entire reason for breathing. When the door clicked shut, Isabella turned to face Dante Valentino, the father of her children and the most dangerous man she'd ever loved. I'm not giving them up. She said it first, before he could speak. You can't make me. I know. The words surprised her. I could. Legally, financially, I could bury you. We both know that. He moved closer, and she forced herself not to retreat. But I won't. Because despite what you think of me, Bella, I'm not a monster. You kill people. I protect my family. He corrected softly. And as of 1 hour ago, that family got a lot bigger. They're not. They're my children. 4 of them. 4. His voice cracked again. Do you know what it did to me, seeing them? Seeing what I missed? First steps. First words. 4 years of their lives gone. Because you decided I didn't deserve to know. Guilt clawed at her throat. I was protecting them. From me. The pain in those 2 words almost broke her. I would die for them, Bella. I would burn this entire city to ash before I let anyone hurt them. But you didn't give me that choice. You just disappeared. You terrified me, she whispered. That last night, when your men came to the hotel. When I heard them talking about what you'd done to the Russo family. Women. Children. All of them. Lies. The word cut like a blade. The Russos spread that story to make me look like an animal. I don't kill children. I don't kill innocents. Ever. He stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. But I do kill men who threaten my family. And I'm very, very good at it. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you understand that those 4 children in that room? They're safer with me than anywhere else on Earth. Because now that I know they exist, every enemy I have will eventually find out too. His hand came up, fingertips brushing her cheek with heartbreaking gentleness. You can hate me. You can run. But you can't keep them safe alone anymore, Bella. Not from the world I live in. The truth of it crushed her. What do you want? Move in with me. He said it like it was simple. You and the children. Today. Now. Absolutely not. Then let me move you somewhere safe. Somewhere with actual security. Somewhere they can have their own rooms and warm clothes and... I don't want your money. This isn't about money. The first real anger broke through his control. This is about my children living in a death trap in the worst neighborhood in the city while their mother works herself to death trying to provide for them alone. I've managed fine so far. You're exhausted, he shouted back. You're wearing yourself down to nothing. I can see it in your face, in the way you move. How many jobs are you working? 3. 4. 3, she admitted, hating him for being right. But we're fine. You keep saying that. His hands gripped her shoulders, and God help her, her body remembered his touch. But you're not fine, Bella. And you don't have to be alone anymore. Tears burned her eyes. I can't just. You're asking me to trust you. I know. His thumbs stroked gentle circles against her collar bones. And I know I haven't earned it. But let me try. Please. Let me be their father. Let me take care of all of you. And if I say no? His jaw tightened. Then I'll petition for custody. Joint, at minimum. And we'll do this the hard way. Through lawyers and courts and a judge who will see 4 children living in poverty when their father is one of the richest men in the state. His eyes held hers, brutal honesty bleeding through. I'll win, Bella. I don't want to. But if you force my hand, I will. She'd known it would come to this. Had known the moment she saw him outside that playground. Dante Valentino always got what he wanted. I need promises, she said finally. In writing. Whatever you want. The children never see violence. Ever. Agreed. They go to normal schools. Have normal lives. Done. I have full medical and legal decision-making authority. He hesitated at that one. Joint authority. I won't be cut out of major decisions about my children's lives. It was fair. Reasonable, even. She hated that. Fine. Anything else? She met his eyes. You don't get to just come back into my life like nothing happened. We're not together. We're just co-parents. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. Loss. If that's what you want. It is. Liar. He said it softly, his hand sliding from her shoulder to cup her face. You're terrified of me. But you're also terrified of how much you still feel this. His thumb brushed her lower lip, and her breath caught. Aren't you, Bella? That doesn't matter. It's the only thing that matters. He leaned closer, and she could feel the heat of him, the barely leashed control. But I can wait. I'm good at waiting. And while I wait, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not the monster you think I am. Before she could respond, the bedroom door burst open. Sofia came barreling out, tears streaming down her face. Luca pushed me. Did not. You took my dinosaur. Did too. Did not. Dante pulled back, looking utterly lost. Isabella almost laughed at the expression on his face, the most feared man in New York, completely baffled by squabbling 4-year-olds. Welcome to parenthood, she said dryly, moving to separate the twins. It's not all cute moments and Italian nicknames. She didn't see the way Dante watched her with them. Didn't see the way his expression softened, then shattered, then rebuilt itself into something new, something that looked dangerously like hope. The penthouse took up the entire top floor of Valentino Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan like a kingdom waiting to be claimed. The children's eyes went wide, taking in space that was bigger than every apartment Isabella had ever lived in combined. Each of you gets your own room, Dante said quietly, watching their reactions. You can decorate however you want. Even pink? Gianna asked, tugging on his pant leg. He crouched down, meeting her eyes. Especially pink, tesoro mio. What's tesoro mio? My treasure. Because that's what you are. His hand, so large against her tiny face, wiped away a smudge of dirt from the playground. "All of you." Isabella's throat tightened. This was the danger, not the violence or the money or the power. This. Watching Dante fall in love with their children in real time, watching him be gentle and patient and everything she'd once believed he could be. "There's also a library," he continued, standing. "A playroom. And a chef who can make whatever you want for meals." "Even chicken nuggets?" Luca asked suspiciously. "Especially chicken nuggets." "Every day." "Within reason," Isabella cut in, shooting Dante a look. "We're not spoiling them rotten." "Why not?" he asked, completely serious. "I have 4 years to make up for." "Because that's not how parenting works." "Then teach me." The words were quiet, earnest. "Because I don't know what I'm doing, Bella. I don't know how to be a father. But I want to learn." Before she could respond, Marco appeared at Dante's side. "Can I see your office?" "Marco Antonio, don't bother." "He's not bothering me." Dante's hand settled on Marco's shoulder, the gesture so natural it made her chest ache. "Would you like a tour?" "Yes, please." They disappeared down the hall, and Sofia immediately attached herself to Isabella's leg. "Mama, I don't like it here. It's too big." "Where will you be?" "Right here, baby. I'm not going anywhere. Promise." "I promise." But even as she said it, Isabella felt the walls of Dante's world closing in. Everything was glass and marble and money. Everything screamed power and danger and a life so far removed from anything she knew. A woman appeared from what Isabella assumed was the kitchen, older, kind-faced, wearing an apron. "Miss Isabella? I'm Teresa, Mr. Valentino's housekeeper. He asked me to show you to your room. I'm staying in the children's wing." "Your room is next to theirs," Teresa said gently, "with a connecting door. So you can hear them if they need you." Of course. Dante would have thought of that. The bedroom Teresa led her to was bigger than her entire Bronx apartment. King-sized bed with actual thread count, bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, closet that echoed when she stepped inside. "Mr. Valentino had some things brought up," Teresa said, gesturing to shopping bags from stores Isabella had never dared enter. "He guessed your size, but if anything doesn't fit, just let me know." "I don't need." "Miss Isabella." Teresa's voice was firm but kind. "That man out there just discovered he's a father. To 4 children. He's terrified and trying to do the right thing. Let him. It's not that simple. Love never is." Teresa headed for the door, then paused. "For what it's worth. I've worked for the Valentino family for 30 years. Dante's father was a hard man. Cold. But Dante? He has his mother's heart buried under all that armor. You just have to give him time to remember where he put it." Alone, Isabella sank onto the bed. The mattress was so soft it felt like floating. Through the walls, she could hear her children's voices, excited, happy, alive in a way they rarely got to be when she was too tired to play, too stressed to do more than keep them fed and clothed. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Dante stood in the doorway, and something about his expression made her heart stutter. "Marco asked to see my office," he said quietly. "And when we got there, he wanted to know what I do for work." "What did you tell him?" "That I protect our family's businesses. That I make sure people honor their agreements. That sometimes my work is dangerous." He moved into the room, each step measured. He asked if I was a superhero. Despite everything, a smile tugged at Isabella's lips. "What did you say?" "That superheroes save people. And that's what I try to do, in my own way." Dante stopped a few feet away. Then he asked me if I'd save him if he was in trouble. Dante. I told him yes. Without hesitation. Always. His voice cracked. And then he hugged me, Bella. Just walked right up and wrapped his arms around my legs and said, "I'm glad you're my daddy." The tears in Dante's eyes broke something in her. This ruthless, violent man undone by a 4-year-old's simple acceptance. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted, and the raw vulnerability in those words cut straight through her defenses. "I know how to run an empire. I know how to end threats. But I don't know how to braid hair or read bedtime stories or—" "You learn," she whispered. "That's all any parent does. We just figure it out as we go. Will you help me?" He closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face with heartbreaking gentleness. "Please, Bella. I know you don't trust me. I know you have every reason to hate me. But those 4 children deserve a father who loves them. And I do. God help me, I looked at them and I just knew. They're mine. They're everything. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve them. You can't buy their love with a penthouse and chicken nuggets." "I know." His forehead pressed against hers. "But I can show up. Every day. For every moment they'll let me. I can be the father my father never was. I can be better. For them." His breath shuddered. "For you. Dante, we're not. I know. You made that clear." His thumbs stroked her cheekbones, and her body betrayed her by leaning into his touch. "But that doesn't change the fact that you're still the only woman who's ever made me believe I could be something other than what my blood made me." The kiss, when it came, wasn't planned. One moment they were breathing the same air, the next his mouth was on hers and she was drowning in memories of hotel rooms and stolen moments and a love that had terrified her with its intensity. He kissed her like she was oxygen. Like 4 years hadn't passed. Like she was still his Bella and he was still her Dante and the world outside this room didn't exist. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, reality crashed back in. "That can't happen again," she whispered. "Why not?" "Because I can't think straight when you touch me. And I need to think straight. For them. Then we won't touch." His voice was rough. Wrecked. "But Bella? This isn't over. What we had, what we have, it's not something that just disappears because you're scared. Being scared is the only thing keeping me smart. Or it's the only thing keeping you from having what you really want." He stepped back, physically forcing distance between them. "Get some rest. The children will be with Teresa for a few hours. She's making them dinner. Where are you going?" "To make sure every security system in this building is perfect. To assign guards who'll protect them with their lives. To ensure that now that I've found my family." His eyes held hers, blazing with something that looked like worship and possession tangled together. "Nothing and no one will ever take them from me again." He left, and Isabella pressed shaking fingers to her lips. They still tingled from his kiss. Her body still hummed with want. This was going to destroy her. Because as much as she feared Dante Valentino and his world, she'd never stopped loving him. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. Isabella watched her children blossom under Dante's attention. Italian lessons every morning, trips to the park with a security detail that could invade a small country, bedtime stories told in a voice that could order executions with the same gentleness. Marco followed Dante everywhere, a tiny shadow in matching button-down shirts. Luca had started calling him Papa, without prompting. Sofia demanded he carry her constantly, tiny arms wrapped around his neck like she'd never let go. And Gianna, sweet, quiet Gianna, had claimed his lap as her personal throne. Isabella's heart broke and healed and broke again watching it. Because Dante was good at this. Patient. Present. Everything she'd needed him to be 4 years ago when she ran. But the peace couldn't last. She'd known it from the start. The call came at 3 a.m. Isabella jerked awake to find Dante already out of bed. Wait, when had she started falling asleep in his room after putting the children down? Pulling on pants, phone pressed to his ear. When? Pause. How many? His voice could have cut glass. Lock down the building. Now. What's wrong? Isabella's voice cracked. He hung up and turned to face her. In the darkness, with the city lights painting him in stark relief, he looked every inch the dangerous man she'd run from. The Castellanos know about the children. The floor dropped out from under her. How? Does it matter? He was moving, pulling weapons from places she hadn't known existed. They know. They've been watching for 3 days. And tonight they made a move. What kind of move? Dante's eyes met hers, and the fear in them paralyzed her. They tried to grab Marco from school. The scream that tore from her throat was primal. She was running before conscious thought kicked in, bare feet slapping marble as she raced toward the children's wing. Dante caught her halfway, arms like steel bands around her waist. "He's safe," he said urgently. "Bella, he's safe. My men stopped them. Marco never even knew it happened. You promised." She fought his hold, desperate to see her babies. "You promised they'd be safe. And they are. I have 20 guards in this building right now. Another 50 on the perimeter. No one is getting to them." His grip gentled, turning her to face him. "But Bella, we need to talk about what comes next." "What comes next is we leave. Tonight. We disappear and you never find us again. They already know what the children look like. They already know their names, their school, their favorite playground." Dante's voice was gentle. "Devastating. Running won't save them. The only thing that saves them now is me. Your world did this. Your enemies. My enemies are now their enemies whether you like it or not." He shouted, then visibly forced control. "I know you hate this. I know you wish you'd never met me. But we don't get to change the past. We only get to decide how we protect them going forward." "How?" The word came out broken. "How do we protect them from this?" "We eliminate the threat." His face hardened into something inhuman. "The Castellanos wanted war. They just don't know it yet. I won't let you turn our children into—" "They will never see violence," Dante cut her off. "That was your rule, and I'll honor it. But Bella, I'm going to end this. Permanently. And I need you to trust me to do what needs to be done." She wanted to argue. Wanted to grab her children and run. But looking at Dante, at the cold calculation in his eyes, the promise of brutality lurking behind controlled civility, she understood. This was who he really was. Not the gentle father braiding Sofia's hair or the man who'd kissed her like she was his salvation. This was Dante Valentino, the most dangerous man in New York. And right now, he was the only thing standing between her children and people who wanted to hurt them. "Tell me they'll be safe. I swear on my life, on my father's grave, on everything I am." He cupped her face, and his hands were shaking. "Nothing touches them. Ever." The children woke to breakfast and cartoons, completely unaware that their world had nearly shattered. Isabella held Gianna too tight, kissed Marco's forehead too many times, clung to Sofia and Luca like they might disappear. Dante watched it all with an expression that made her want to cry. Because he understood now, really understood, what she'd been protecting them from all along. "I need to go handle this," he said quietly as the children ate chocolate chip pancakes Teresa had made. "I'll be back by tonight." "Dante." "I have to, Bella." His hand caught hers, squeezing. Trust me. Please. She shouldn't. Every instinct screamed at her not to. But when she looked in his eyes, she saw something she'd never expected. Fear. Not for himself. For them. Be careful, she whispered. He kissed her forehead, lingering. Then he crouched by the children, hugging each one. Be good for your mama. I'll see you tonight. Where are you going? Marco asked. To take care of some business. But I'll be back for our Italian lesson. I promise. He left surrounded by men with guns, and Isabella tried not to think about what handling this actually meant. The hours crawled. She played with the children, read books, tried to act normal while terror gnawed at her spine. At 6 p.m., Dante's second-in-command, a scarred man named Victor, appeared with a tablet. Mrs. Valentino, you should see this. I'm not. She stopped. What is it? He turned the screen. News footage. Fire at Castellano Industries tonight. Sources say the entire family was inside for a private meeting. Authorities are searching for survivors, but the rest was white noise. Isabella looked at Victor, whose expression gave nothing away. Is he? He's fine. He'll be home within the hour. Victor's voice was flat. Professional. The threat has been neutralized. The door burst open at 7:43 p.m. Dante strode in looking immaculate, suit perfect, not a hair out of place. But Isabella saw the tension in his shoulders, the haunted look in his eyes. Papa! 4 voices shouted in unison. The children descended on him like a tiny hurricane, and something in his expression cracked. He gathered them close, all 4, holding them like he'd never let go. Did you win your business meeting? Marco asked innocently. I did, Figlio. His voice was rough. Everything's safe now. After the children were asleep, Isabella found Dante on the balcony. He didn't turn when she approached. How many? She asked quietly. Does it matter? Yes. Everyone who knew about the children. Everyone who could threaten them. Everyone who thought my family was a target. He finally looked at her, and his eyes were empty. I ended a bloodline tonight, Bella. Wiped out 3 generations of Castellanos. Because they tried to take my son. She should have been horrified. Should have run screaming. Instead, she stepped closer. Are we safe now? Safer. There are always enemies. But the message has been sent. My children are untouchable. And anyone who tries will face the same fate. I should hate you for this. I know. His hands gripped the railing. I hate myself for it, but I'd do it again. I'd burn this entire city if it meant keeping them safe. Isabella's hand covered his. I know you would. And that's why. She stopped, the words catching. Why what? Why I think I could love you again, despite everything. Because underneath all the violence and power, you're just a man who'd destroy the world for his family. She turned his face toward her. But Dante, I need you to promise me something. Anything. When the children ask about what you do, and they will, eventually, you tell them the truth. Not all of it. Not the bloody parts. But enough that they understand the weight of our name. Of their legacy. Because I won't have them grow up thinking violence is love. It's not, he said quietly, pulling her against his chest. Violence is the price I pay so they can grow up safe enough to never understand what I've done to keep them that way. She tilted her head back, meeting his eyes. And what about us? What price do we pay? We already paid it. His lips brushed her forehead. 4 years apart. 4 years of missing each other while pretending we were doing the right thing. I'm done paying, Bella. I want you. I want our family. and I'll spend the rest of my life earning the right to keep both. This time when he kissed her, she didn't pull away. The morning started like any other in their new life. Dante making espresso while 4 children ate breakfast and argued about who got to pick the cartoon. Isabella braiding Sofia's hair while listening to Luca's rambling story about a dream involving dinosaurs and pizza. Normal. Perfect. Everything she'd been terrified to want. Then the door to the penthouse exploded inward. Time fractured into horrible clarity. Men in black tactical gear. Weapons. Shouting. Dante moving faster than should be humanly possible, throwing himself between the intruders and the children. Run! He roared at Isabella. Get them to the panic room. But there were too many. 6 men, heavily armed, spreading through the space like poison. One grabbed Marco, and her son's scream tore through her soul. Let him go! Isabella lunged, pure maternal fury overriding fear. Her hands clawed at the masked man's face. The gun came up. Time slowed to a crawl. She saw Dante's eyes go wide with horror. Saw him reaching, running, too far away to stop what was about to happen. The shot never came. Instead, an older man entered through the shattered door. Silver-haired, expensive suit, face she didn't recognize, but Dante clearly did. His entire body went rigid. Uncle Salvatore, Dante said, voice like death. Interesting way to visit family. You left me no choice, nephew. Salvatore's English was thick with Italian accent. You've been ignoring my calls. Refusing meetings. All because of some woman and her bastards. Call them bastards again, Dante said softly, and I'll kill you where you stand. Family or not. They are bastards. Salvatore's voice rose. Illegitimate children with some hotel maid. And you're what, playing house? Forgetting who you are? Forgetting that you're supposed to marry Catalina Rossini and unite our families? Isabella's blood froze. What? Oh, he didn't tell you? Salvatore smiled, cruel and cold. Dante's been engaged since birth. A arrangement between families. And he's supposed to marry her next month. That contract is void, Dante growled. I never agreed to it. Your father agreed. Which means you're bound by honor. Salvatore gestured to the man holding Marco. This ends now. You send this woman and her children away with enough money to disappear. You marry Catalina. And we forget this unfortunate lapse in judgment ever happened. No. The word was absolute. Final. Then your son pays for your disobedience. The man holding Marco adjusted his grip, and Isabella's world went white with terror. But before anyone could move, Dante pulled a gun from behind his back. When had he grabbed it? And shot 3 of the 6 men in rapid succession. The gunfire was deafening. Sofia and Gianna were screaming. Luca had gone silent with shock. And Marco, her brave, stubborn Marco, was fighting against his captor with everything his 4-year-old body had. You'd kill your own uncle? Salvatore asked, seemingly unconcerned about the bodies dropping around him. Violate the family code? You threatened my children. Dante's aim never wavered. That made you my enemy the moment you walked through that door. Family code doesn't apply to dead men. Kill me and the old families will never accept your bastards. They'll be hunted for the rest of their lives. Shunned. Targeted. Salvatore's smile widened. But let them go. Marry Catalina. Do your duty. And I'll make sure no one touches the woman or her children. I'll even set her up somewhere nice. Sicily, perhaps. She'd like it there. Isabella saw the calculation flash across Dante's face. Saw him weighing options, measuring costs. Trying to find a way to save everyone. Don't, she said quietly. Firmly. His eyes cut to her. Bella, I won't let you sacrifice yourself for us. Not again. She moved slowly, carefully, until she was standing beside him. Between him and Salvatore. We're a family. All 6 of us. And we don't abandon each other. You don't understand what you're asking. If I don't marry Catalina, the old families will learn to live with disappointment. She turned to face Salvatore, lifting her chin despite the terror coursing through her. Your nephew is the most powerful man in this city. He doesn't need your approval or your alliances. And his children, our children, are under his protection, which means they're untouchable. Brave words from a maid. Former maid, she corrected. Current mother to the next generation of Valentinos. And I'm telling you now, we're not going anywhere. So you have a choice. You can accept that Dante chose love over duty. Or you can make an enemy of the man who just eliminated the Castellanos in a single night. Salvatore's expression darkened. You eliminated, he looked at Dante. The entire family? Everyone. Dante's voice was ice. Because they threatened my children. Imagine what I'll do to someone who actually hurts them. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Isabella could see Salvatore recalculating, reassessing. The man holding Marco had gone pale. You've changed, Salvatore said finally. Your father would be ashamed. My father was a coward who married for power instead of love. And he died alone in a hospital with no one who truly mourned him. Dante stepped forward, gun still steady. I won't make his mistakes. Now release my son. And get out of my home. You're no longer welcome in the Valentino family. You can't exile me. I'm your uncle. Your blood. I'm the head of this family now. And I say you're done. Dante's finger tightened on the trigger. Release my son. Or join your men on the floor. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then Salvatore nodded curtly. The man released Marco, who immediately ran to Isabella, sobbing. She caught him, holding him tight while her eyes never left Dante. This isn't over, Salvatore said, heading for the door. It is. Dante's voice stopped him. And uncle? If I hear even a whisper that you've contacted the Rossinis, or the old families, or anyone else about my personal life, I'll end you. Quietly. Thoroughly. And no one will ever find the body. Salvatore left, taking his remaining men with him. The moment the door closed, Dante's control shattered. He was on his knees, gathering all 4 children into his arms, his body shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have seen that. You shouldn't have. His voice broke. Papa, you saved us, Marco said, small hands patting Dante's face. Like a superhero. I'm not. Yes, you are. Sofia joined in, then Luca, then Gianna. All 4 of them piled on top of their father, crying and laughing and clinging. Isabella sank down beside them, wrapping her arms around the whole tangled mess of her family. We're okay. Everyone's okay. This is my fault. Dante's eyes met hers over the children's heads. My world did this. My family. Your uncle did this. Not you. She reached out, fingers threading through his hair. And you chose us. When it mattered most, you chose us. I'll always choose you. The words were raw. Absolute. All of you. There's no contract, no alliance, no amount of power worth losing this. What about the old families? What Salvatore said. Let them come. Dante's expression hardened. I've spent my whole life playing by their rules, doing what was expected, and it made me into something I hated. But these 4, he looked at the children, and his voice softened. They make me want to be better. You make me want to be the man I pretended to be 4 years ago, when I thought I could have normal, even for just a few stolen hours. We were never normal, Isabella said softly. But maybe we don't need to be. Mama? Gianna tugged her sleeve. Can we have pancakes now? I'm hungry. The absurdity of it, asking for pancakes with bodies still on the floor, made Isabella laugh. The sound was slightly hysterical, but it was real. Yes, baby. We can have pancakes. She looked at Dante. But first we need to. I'll handle it. He was already pulling out his phone. Victor, I need a cleaning crew at the penthouse. No. And get me Alessandro Rossini on the phone. It's time I had a conversation about my engagement. Over the next hour, Isabella ushered the children to their wing while Dante dealt with the aftermath. She could hear his voice through the walls, cold, commanding, absolutely lethal as he explained to Alessandro Rossini that there would be no wedding, that the contract was void, that any family who had a problem with it could take it up with him directly. By the time he finally appeared in the doorway, the children were asleep in a pile on Sofia's bed, all 4 of them refusing to be separated. Isabella sat beside them, one hand resting on Marco's back. It's done, Dante said quietly. The Rossinis have agreed to nullify the contract. In exchange for... He stopped. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're safe. They're safe. And I'm free too. To what? She stood, moving toward him. To ask if you'll marry me. The words came out rushed. Desperate. Not because of contracts or alliances or any of the bullshit reasons people in my world get married. But because I love you. Because you gave me 4 perfect children and then spent 4 years protecting them from me because you thought you had to. Because every moment of the last 4 years, I felt like something was missing, and I didn't even know what until I saw them in that playground. Tears blurred her vision. Dante. I know I'm asking too much. I know you're still scared. But Bella, he dropped to his knees, this powerful, dangerous man, kneeling before her like she was something sacred. I'll spend every day for the rest of my life proving you made the right choice. I'll be the father they deserve. The husband you deserve. The man who protects this family not with violence and fear, but with everything I have and everything I am. You really ended your engagement for us? I'd end the world for you. His hands caught hers. Say yes. Please. Marry me. Let me give our children my name. Let me give you everything. Isabella looked at the man kneeling before her. The most dangerous man in New York. The father of her children. The love she'd spent 4 years running from because she'd been too scared to believe it could be real. Stand up, she said softly. He did, slowly, fear clear in his eyes. Afraid she was about to say no. About to run again. Instead, she pulled his face down to hers and kissed him. Soft, sweet, full of promise. Yes, she whispered against his lips. Yes, I'll marry you. But Dante, if you ever make me choose between you and the children, you'll choose them. As you should. He kissed her back, deeper, hungry. Because that's what makes you perfect. That's what makes you the only woman I'd ever trust with my heart. They stood there, wrapped in each other, while their children slept peacefully nearby. A family forged from violence and fear and a love that had survived 4 years of separation. Isabella had spent so long running. Maybe it was time to finally stand still. 5 years later, the Valentino penthouse echoed with laughter. Marco, now 9, was helping his father review what he called boring business papers while speaking rapid Italian. Luca had discovered a love for music and was butchering Beethoven on the piano. Sofia and Gianna were building what they claimed was a palace for their toy horses but looked more like a glitter bomb had exploded. Isabella watched from the kitchen, one hand resting on her very pregnant belly. Number 5. A surprise that had sent Dante into a panic and then a joy so profound he'd cried, was due any day now. "Mama, the baby's kicking again?" Sofia appeared at her side, little hand pressing against the swell. "Like he's trying to escape," Isabella confirmed. "Or she," Gianna corrected, joining them. "We need more girls. The boys are too loud." "I can hear you," Marco called from across the room. Dante looked up from his papers, caught Isabella's eye, and smiled. That smile, the one that was just for her, soft and real and everything the world never got to see. They'd married in a small ceremony 6 months after Salvatore's attack. Just family, the real family, the one they'd chosen. The old families had grumbled but ultimately accepted it. Because Dante had consolidated enough power that their approval didn't matter anymore. And the children, they were thriving. Top of their classes. Fluent in 3 languages. Completely unaware of how many people their father had destroyed to keep them safe. "Tesoro," Dante called, setting aside his work. "Come here." She waddled over. There was no other word for it at 8 months pregnant, and he pulled her into his lap despite her protests about crushing him. "I was thinking," he murmured against her ear. "Dangerous. We should take the children to Italy this summer. Show them where the family comes from. Let them meet their grandmother. Your mother still hasn't forgiven me for not being Catalina. My mother is learning that her son makes his own choices." His hand splayed across her belly, feeling their child kick. "Besides, once she meets the grandchildren, she'll forget all about ancient contracts." "You say that now." "Mama, Papa," Luca's voice rang out. "Can we get a dog? Please." "No," they answered in unison, then looked at each other and laughed. This was her life now. Chaos and love and 4, soon to be 5, tiny dictators who ran their household with sticky hands and endless demands. A husband who could destroy empires but melted when Gianna asked him to play tea party. A family that shouldn't work but somehow did. "Any regrets?" Dante asked quietly, reading her mind the way he always could. Isabella looked at her children. At the man who'd fought his entire world to keep them. At the life she'd been too scared to believe she could have. "Not a single one," she whispered. "Not any more." That night, after the children were asleep and the penthouse was quiet, Dante held her on the balcony overlooking the city. His empire spread out below them, glittering and dangerous and full of threats that would never touch their family. Because some loves were worth burning the world for. And theirs had already survived the fire. And so their story comes full circle, from a playground discovery to a family forged in danger and sealed with love. If this journey moved you, hit that like button and share this story with someone who believes in second chances. More emotional stories are coming soon. We'll see you in the next one.